I would like to talk about the Dance of Life for a few minutes and just explain why we wrote it and what it's about. This will only take a few minutes, so just remember, this is how to transform your world now. It's about how to be able to create wellness and balance and resolve conflicts and peace, and you'll be able to learn how to harmonize your being with that of the universe and nature and everything in the world. And we think that's really worth learning. So we wrote this book, The Dance of Life. Now it contains chapters on each of these subjects. So the first chapter is about consciousness in nature and how all of nature is in fact conscious. And they're all working together. You walk in a rainforest, for instance, and you'll find out that everything is in harmony. And so you say, well, what's that about? It's enfolded dimensions of consciousness, enfolded dimensions of how they do things, and a matrix of consciousness from which they are all evolving and forming themselves into a more expansive field of consciousness. So we go through all the details of everything and everyone in hyperspatial connections and all of that, and show how the dance of life goes on. The second chapter is about human consciousness. That's us. I don't suppose you'd like to know a little bit about how consciousness actually works. When I first started this, there was no science of consciousness. So we had to actually look at the field and realize that everything is made of information and motion. Oh, and then we discovered that everything is in fact conscious. And it's all connected. It's a holographic universe. So we talk about that in here. And, you know, we can talk about different kinds of mentalities of humans and how games they play and all different individuations, because everything in nature is individuated. And everything in humans is individual. Nobody's the same exactly as anybody else. We have all similarities, but we're all part of one family of humans. And so we talk about that and how to become conscious of each other and how the multiple dimensions of that can literally get to the solutions. And we are created to be able to find those solutions. And it's a spiritual dimension. So we'll talk about that and the science of it and how we now have the facts that show how it works. So we're sharing that. And then third chapter is the shape of linear consciousness, because you can actually take one part of consciousness and think that's all there is. So the rational thinkers have logical, sequential boxes around to explain everything. They want to have, you know, something that's observable and touchable, so they can know it's true, and they have all that kind of thing going. And they have some difficulties with that, because that particular mentality brought us out of the Dark Ages and the Inquisitions and all those things with religious emotional dominance, and then into a rational thinking age in which machines could be built and the Industrial Revolution could be there. And, you know, we did a pretty good job with that. And then we go to the fourth chapter, which is the shape of wave consciousness. Now, wave consciousness is about quantum physics. And this wasn't even developed until 1908, when Niels Bohr discovered this and began to explain it. And then he demonstrated how every element in the elementary table of the rational world, or perspective, was actually duplicatable and partly involved and woven into a wave dynamic. And then he discovered 5 more elements. That was unheard of in the rational, and so a great war began among the scientists. What evolved was the quantum physics world. And so that became the wave dynamics, and then there's a third dynamic. And that's chapter 5. It's the shape of holodynamic consciousness. And we had to develop that because there was no science for it, and there was nothing that would integrate all the rest of the information into one body and still allow the entities to be there. So holodynamics is about the whole dynamic. And in the dance of life, the whole dance is holodynamic. And it is so fun to be able to explore that and see how it works. Because once you start to do that, you will know who you're dealing with. You will be able to step out of time. You will be able to see how the future is coming and how to heal the past. And everything you need in order to make your full potential self and that of your community unfold. It allows you the freedom to do that, the freedom to be. So then chapter 7 is conscious shape-shifting. And it's about shape-shifting so that you can actually overcome anything, even as critical and crucial and demanding as terrorism or endless wars or economic control systems, diseases. All of that can be handled effectively and has been handled and is being handled by millions of people. So we have the glossary of terms and all the references and all that in this book about how we actually accomplished all that and how it's been operating now for decades and how millions of people are becoming involved. And that comes out of this little book on the dance of life.